Do the Warriors need Paul George to return to championship contention? General Manager Mike Dunleavy said that the Golden State Warriors are willing to give up young assets if the right player comes along and can provide something that they felt would unequivocally change the trajectory of their franchise.
And there's different reasons for doing a trade. Now, it's hard. Like, there's salary-related trades, but how often do you see a trade that's like straight basketball for basketball? And so because of that, it's just not easy. But at the same time, we know here some good teams have been built based on, like, getting an Andrew Wiggins in a trade, something like that. So got to keep pursuing those things, but recognizing they're not always easy.
Is George a great fit for a Warriors team that needs a spark to return to championship contention? The 34-year-old Clippers star can dominate games on offense or defense, which the Warriors could use a lot of. Despite his stature in the game, he is a selfless player who is not afraid to play no to when necessary. He is a superb passer who can set his great players up for success. He can help Curry make big, well-timed defensive plays when needed and have an impact on the game that goes beyond his excellent stat line. George averaged 20.6 points, 5.2 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 1.5 steals last season. He also shot 47.1% from the paint and 41.3% from outside the arc. His defensive skill set will complement that of Draymond Green, who remains a force on that side of the ball, averaging 6 steals per game. Losing Klay Thompson, which is a very real prospect amid a tense standoff, needs the acquisition of a player capable of providing consistent scoring and defense. George is a better player than the eventual Hall of Famer right now and an immediate boost. Stephen A. Smith, Chris Mad Dog Russo, and Bob Myers commented on Paul George NBA free agency. Chris Mad Dog Russo said the Paul George is old and should just stay with the Clippers to win championship.
Really? And he's old. He's not 24 years old. He's old. And now I'm going to bail on him to go somewhere else because I didn't win in Indiana. I didn't win in Oklahoma City. I didn't win the Clippers. Let me find a fourth team. How about one of these guys sit there and say, you know what? I made a commitment to the Clippers. I got Leonard still here. I owe it to this franchise to stay here and try to win a championship here.
Bob Myers said that teams in the West are young, that getting Paul George will not solve this big picture.
You could see in the West, guys, you could see a 49-win team in the play-in. So that means you have to get through the regular season 82 games healthy. And that's the other thing. The teams in the West aren't just good, they're young. They're young. Minnesota is young. Oklahoma City is young. Dallas, for the most part, with Luka, we think he's old. He's been in the NBA for a long time, but he's still young. Their oldest guy might be Kyrie, and he's not that old. So I look at this for any team trying to compete in the West. Yeah, go get Paul George, gives you a better chance, but the story is still unwritten for many of these teams, including the Warriors, if they do either of those things.
Stephen A. Smith favors keeping Klay Thompson rather than Paul George.
I get sick and tired of people dismissing the significance of Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson had a down year, doggy. You know what that amounted to? Averaging 17 points on 39% shooting from three-point range. That's a bad year for Klay Thompson. Now, we know he had the nasty injury that left him out pretty much the better part of 2 seasons. He comes back a couple of years ago, helps them win a championship. Obviously, he hasn't been himself. But in the second half of the season, or really since the All-Star break, you know, Doug, he averaged about 20 points, shooting 45% from the field and 42% from three-point range. Do you know that piggybacked off of 9 of his first 10 seasons in the NBA, shooting better than 40% from three-point range? This is one of the greatest shooters in the history of basketball. There's no denying this. And when you look at the Golden State Warriors and what their success has been predicated on, one would say 2 components, their shooting ability and their defense, okay? I understand that Paul George can shoot. I also understand that Paul George obviously can defend. But when you look at him and his style of play, willing to break you down one-on-one in that regard and shoot off of that, as opposed to being a catch and shoot guy. Not to say he's not capable of that, because Paul George is the real deal. But Klay Thompson is somebody that I want on my team. I'm here to tell you that right now.
So what do you think on this? Will Paul George provide the spark for the Warriors to get on its championship contention?